Hello and welcome to my channel. I have another question, and the question is, what is the abomination of desolation? Jesus spoke of a coming abomination of desolation in the Olivet Discourse as he referenced a future event mentioned in Daniel chapter 9 verse 27. In Matthew chapter 24 verse 15 to 16, Jesus says, "So when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet Daniel standing in the holy place, then those in Judea must flee to the mountains." An abomination is something that causes disgust or hatred, and desolation is a state of complex emptiness or destruction. Jesus warned that something or someone that people detested would stand in the temple someday. When that horror occurred, residents of Judea should seek cover without delay. Other translations speak of the abomination that causes desolation, the sacrilegious object that causes desecration in NLT, and that horrible thing in CEV. The Amplified Bible adds the note that the abomination of desolation is the appalling sacrilege that astonishes and makes desolate. Jesus referenced Daniel in his words in the Olivet Discourse. The prophet Daniel mentioned the abomination of desolation in 3 places. He will make a firm covenant with many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week he will put a stop to sacrifice and offering. And the abomination of desolation will be on a wing of the temple until the decreed destruction is poured out on the desolator. Forces shall be mustered by him, and they shall defile the sanctuary fortress. Then they shall take away the daily sacrifices and place there the abomination of desolation. From the time that the regular sacrifice is abolished and the abomination of desolation is set up, there will be 1290 days. The wording in the above translations indicates that the abomination of desolation is an object. In some other translations, the abomination appears to be a person. On the wing of abomination shall come one who makes desolate. Regardless of whether the abomination of desolation is a person or a thing, Daniel predicted the following. A future ruler will make a treaty with the people of Israel. The terms of this treaty will be for a week, which we take to be a period of 7 years. Midway through the time, the ruler will gather his troops and put an end to the sacrifices and offerings in the temple. At that time, the ruler will desecrate the temple, setting up some kind of sacrilegious object. The desecration of the temple will continue until the judgment of God is finally meted out on the ruler and his followers. 1290 days, or 3.5 years and 1 month later. Daniel's prophecies about the abomination of desolation seem to have at least a partial fulfillment in 167 BC, when a Greek ruler by the name of Antiochus IV desecrated the temple in Jerusalem. Antiochus called himself Epiphanes. He set up an altar to Zeus over the altar of burnt offering, and he sacrificed a pig on the altar. Antiochus went even further in his atrocities, slaughtering a great number of the Jews and selling others into slavery. And he issued decrees forbidding circumcision and requiring Jews to sacrifice to pagan gods and eat pig meat. What Antiochus did certainly qualifies as an abomination, but it was not a complete fulfillment of Daniel's prophecy. Antiochus Epiphanes did not enter a covenant with Israel for 7 years, for example. And in Matthew chapter 24, Jesus, speaking some 200 years after Antiochus' evil actions, spoke of Daniel's prophecy as having a still future fulfillment. Then the question then becomes, when after Jesus' day was the abomination of desolation prophecy fulfilled, or are we still waiting for a fulfillment? The preterist view is that Jesus' warning in Matthew chapter 24 verse 15 concerned events leading up to the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. In this view, the abomination of desolation probably occurred during the Roman occupation of Jerusalem, when the Roman army brought their heathen images and standards into the temple courts. We take the futurist view, which sees the abomination of desolation prophecy as still future. In our view, Jesus was referring to the Antichrist, who in the end times would establish a covenant with Israel for 7 years and then break it by doing something similar to what Antiochus Epiphanes did in the temple. The sacrilegious object Jesus called the abomination of desolation could be the image of the beast that the Antichrist's right-hand man, the false prophet, will order to be set up and worshipped. Of course, for Matthew chapter 24 verse 15 to be yet future, the temple in Jerusalem will have to be rebuilt before the tribulation begins. Those who are alive during the tribulation should be watchful and recognize that the breaking of the covenant with Israel and the abomination of desolation will herald the beginning of the worst 3.5 years in history. Be always on the watch and pray that you may be able to escape all that is about to happen, and that you may be able to stand before the Son of Man. Thank you for listening to this question. I'll see you next time.